Hello everyone and welcome to the Arcade Cabinet. Now this week we're looking at Alan Wake's American Nightmare. This is the continuing adventures of Alan Wake, who you may remember from the video game Alan Wake.
Yes, this is a spin-off, not a direct sequel to the original Alan Wake. So he's kind of trying to survive in the darkness, and his dark alter ego, who's called Mr.
It's just Alan Wake in a suit.
Yep,
yeah.
Evil Alan Wake in a suit is Mr. for some reason. Sure. He is trying to manifest in the real world. So because he looks exactly like Alan Wake, he's basically trying to ruin things for Alan and potentially unleash greater, darker forces unto the world.
Right. So does this play like the first Alan Wake game?
It plays pretty much exactly like the first Alan Wake game. They've really kind of focused more on the action side of it. On the story side, it'll be very familiar to players of the first game, but they throw a lot more enemies at you, a lot more enemy types at you, and the variety of armaments, which is probably one of the biggest criticisms of the original game, has really been amped up as well. So originally you had this kind of cycle of I've picked up a pistol, I picked up a shotgun, and then for some contrived reason you'd lose them and have to go through that cycle endlessly.
Yeah.
In this, you keep hold of whatever weapons you pick up, but Alan is now able to kind of shape his reality, and helping him to do that are the pages that he's written.
Right, so you unlock new weapons through the manuscript pages that you collect.
Yes.
There's weapon cases lying around with different power weapons in them.
Yeah, they've got that kind of golden glow of a Pulp Fiction case when you first open them. Nice. But yeah, you've effectively written these weapons into existence. You can then open those up, and then you'll get access to things like submachine guns, combat shotguns, hunting rifles, magnums. Yeah, cool. That complements your existing quota of things like pistols. You can get pretty outlandish weapons separately as well. You can get things like nail guns as well. Yeah. Assault rifles, the works. Plus
light
the usual
weapons like flashbangs.
Flashbangs, flash grenades. Sorry, flashbangs are flash grenades. Flares and the flare gun as well.
Yeah.
So yes, it's the same kind of light up the enemy as they're covered by the darkness. Destroy the darkness and then blow them away with your weapon of choice.
Although there's new enemy types that you don't want to do that with, right? The Splitter, particularly.
The Splitter, you're almost kind of forced to do it, but yeah, the Splitter is particularly evil. It starts off as a large enemy, you shine the torch on it, then it splits into two. You shine the torch on them, they split into a further two. So yeah, you can end up with a lot of trouble very, very quickly with those. So that's when the kind of rapid fire weapons really come into play, like the nail gun, the SMG, things like that. Yeah. You just basically spray and hope for the best.
Spray and pray.
Spray and pray. And then there's a couple of bigger enemies. There's the kind of basic larger type, just takes a lot more time to rid the darkness of. Yeah. And they'll charge at you while you're doing that as well, which makes things tricky. And then the truly huge ones have these huge circular saws and are incredibly difficult to kill. So the storyline itself is quite clever and obviously plays with the literary aspect of Alan Wake as a character. Yeah. That Mr. has effectively trapped him in this story loop, and if Alan Wake can't bend reality to his will, then he's going to be trapped in this loop forever. Right. In effect, it's an episode of a show that he wrote. For the Twilight Zone-esque show that exists within the first game called Night Springs.
Yeah, that you saw on TVs in different locations. Complete
with, the really transparent kind of Twilight Zone.
The Rod Serling voiceover, yeah, exactly.
Precisely. And they've even got like a Rod Serling style VO for this, so rather than Alan Wake narrating proceedings, it's actually that guy narrating it as if it were an episode.
Okay, so that's the story mode, but there's also the arcade mode, Fight Till Dawn, right?
Yes. So it obviously has similarities to something like Gears of War's Horde mode.
Sure.
But I would say, and kind of more relevant to Alan Wake's general playstyle, it's quite close to Resident Evil 4's Mercenaries Mode.
Okay, yeah, so do you have like a kind of a combo chain that you're trying to...
Yeah, in this case it's a multiplier that you build up. So the basic way to build up that multiplier is to just take down enemies.
Yeah, so it is wave-based, you have little breathers in the middle.
Initially, so... There's two kind of versions of each of the levels, and once you've played through the first lot and gathered enough stars by accumulating enough points, you will then go back and play through the levels again, but you don't have breathers.
Right. Okay.
And that's when that's when it becomes really, really full on. Yeah. And you know, the hope is that once you've played through the levels the first time, you've got a good idea of where the weapons are held, where the flares are, and you can kind of comfortably navigate your way around the map, taking out the enemies and, you know, picking up stuff along the way. Whereas initially, you know, you've got these breathers so you can go around, pick stuff up at your leisure, wait for the next wave and kind of prepare. You've really got to kind of know your way around.
So this is available right now on Xbox Live Marketplace, as ever. There's a demo for you if you want to try before you buy. And how much is this?
This one is 1,200 Microsoft points, but considering what you're getting is a full story campaign, which will last you a good 4 or 5 hours, plus the arcade mode, which has tons of replay value, especially with the high score leaderboards, which I'm always obsessing about. I think it's an absolute bargain and a really great inclusion to the House Party lineup.